What if I told you that in just 3 days, you could rewire the way you think, feel, and act without changing your circumstances, your job, your income, or even your environment?
What if the only thing you had to do was change the way you talk to yourself?
No, this is not some gimmick. It's not empty positivity. It's not a motivational poster you scroll past and forget in 5 seconds.
This is a mental switch, a deliberate act of self-command. And those who've done it, those who dared to talk to themselves like this for just 3 days, never return to who they used to be. You see, most people spend their entire lives having conversations they don't even realize are happening. Whispered words in the back of their minds: I'm not ready, I'm too late, I'll probably fail, this is just who I am. But here's the truth most never hear. You are where you are not because of what life gave you, but because of what you've been telling yourself about what life gave you. Your words become thoughts. Your thoughts become beliefs. Your beliefs shape your action, and your actions create your destiny. So just imagine what could happen if for just 3 days you rewrote the entire script. If for just 3 days you became the author of your own mind. What if you woke up tomorrow, looked yourself in the mirror, and declared a version of yourself the world has yet to see, but you know is real?
Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Not theory, not fluff, but a precise method to talk to yourself in a way that rewires your brain, realigns your spirit, and reclaims your future.
All I ask is that you give yourself the next 3 days. 3 days of unshakable discipline. 3 days of intentional self-talk. And I promise you, you will not walk away the same.
Let's begin.
Your mind is a fertile field. It does not care what seeds you plant, flowers or weeds, abundance or lack, strength or doubt. It will return to you exactly what you sow. Most people walk through life unaware that they are planting seeds every single day with their own voice, their own words, their own thoughts, and those words, repeated enough times, become commands. They form a blueprint that your subconscious mind follows without question and without hesitation. You see, the subconscious mind is like a loyal soldier. It does not argue. It does not reason. It obeys. Whatever message you deliver to it repeatedly, it begins to accept as truth, whether it's real or not. If you tell yourself often enough that you're not good enough, that you're unlucky, that success is for other people but not you, guess what? That becomes your reality, not because it's true, but because you've declared it so.
Autosuggestion is the process of deliberately choosing those messages. It's the art of programming your mind by consciously feeding it the thoughts and beliefs you want to grow. And when you do this with consistency, emotion, and repetition, your life begins to shift. Not by magic, not overnight, but inevitably.
Think about this. Every single person who has ever achieved anything extraordinary first had to win the war inside their own mind. They had to confront the inner voices of fear, of hesitation, of inadequacy, and override them with a new narrative. A narrative of power, a narrative of certainty, a narrative of possibility.
The tragedy is that most people wait for external evidence to feel successful. They wait to be rich before they feel abundant. They wait to be confident before they speak up. They wait for the job offer before they believe they're worthy. But that's not how the mind works. The mind responds not to what is real, it responds to what is repeated with emotion. So if you repeat to yourself every day that you are focused, driven, and destined for more, you begin to think like someone who is focused, driven, and destined for more. And over time, you act like it. You walk differently. You carry yourself differently. You make decisions that align with that new identity.
The greatest transformation begins when you stop reacting to your current circumstances and start declaring who you are becoming. You don't speak to your bank account. You speak to your vision. You don't speak to your fears. You speak to your faith. And when you do, day after day, your subconscious starts to accept And once it does, your brain begins to filter the world differently. Suddenly, you notice opportunities you ignored before. You speak up in rooms where you used to stay silent. You take actions that used to terrify you. Autosuggestion works because it bypasses logic and speaks directly to belief. And belief is the foundation of all human behavior. No one acts consistently against what they believe to be true. So if you want to change your life, you must first change what you believe is possible for you. And the fastest way to do that is to talk to yourself like someone who already believes. This is not about lying to yourself. This is about choosing the higher truth, the truth that says you are capable even when you feel uncertain, the truth that says your past does not define your future, the truth that says you were not born to survive. You are born to rise, but you must say it out loud. You must declare it. Quiet hope is not enough. Whispered dreams won't do. Your words must carry the force of conviction, the heat of desire, the fire of faith.
The voice you use when you speak to yourself must be the same voice you'd use to lift up a friend you love, a child you believe in, a warrior about to step into battle. It must be strong. It must be clear. And it must be repeated over and over again until it burns itself into your being. Repetition is the key. One positive affirmation whispered once is a wish. But a positive affirmation repeated daily with emotion and certainty becomes a command to your nervous system.
Some of the most powerful minds in history understood this. They wrote their vision down. They read it every morning and every night. They spoke it aloud with belief before there was any proof, because they knew that by saturating their minds with a new internal script, they were reshaping the way they perceived themselves, and that perception determined their reality. And you can do the same. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need to wait for your circumstances to improve. You don't need a new job or more money or a better background. What you need is a decision to no longer let your inner voice run wild, a decision to take the wheel, to become the author of your mind, and to speak into your life the words that build, not break, that lift, not limit, that plant flowers, not weed, because the voice you use when you speak to yourself is the most powerful force in your life. It can raise you or ruin you. It can free you or chain you. And when you learn to wield it with intention, with faith, and with fire, you no longer wait for change. You become the cause of it. You become the storm. You become the shift. Talk to yourself like a person worth following, like a person with vision, like a person who refuses to be ordinary. And if you do that, just that, for 3 days with unwavering intensity, your mind will begin to believe you. And once it believes you, everything changes. Every day, without realizing it, you are sending messages to yourself about who you are. You might say things like, I'm not a morning person, or I'm just not good with money, or I'm the kind of person who can't stick to anything. These statements, often repeated quietly or even aloud, shape the story you believe about yourself. But what if I told you that these stories are not set in stone? What if I told you that the person you think you are today is only a chapter in your book, not the whole story? What if you could begin speaking to yourself, not as who you are right now, but as who you are becoming? This shift in how you talk to yourself is nothing short of revolutionary. It's the difference between being stuck in a loop of limitation and stepping into a new identity of power and possibility. Because when you speak to yourself as the person you want to become, something remarkable happens. Your mind starts to align with that future version of yourself. You begin to live as if that future is already real. Imagine you are an actor rehearsing for the most important role of your life, the lead in your own story. Every line you say to yourself is a piece of your character development. If you keep delivering the lines of I can't, I'm not ready, or I don't have what it takes, you will naturally believe that's who you are. But if you begin to speak the language of your future self, I am capable, I am disciplined, I am growing stronger every day, you begin to embody that character in your daily life. This is the core of identity transformation, to intentionally craft the inner narrative that shapes your beliefs, choices, and action. The identity you claim becomes the lens through which you see the world and the engine that drives your motivation. If you tell yourself you're someone who gives up easily, your brain will look for ways to prove it right. But if you say, I am a person who perseveres no matter what, your brain will start to search for evidence to support that identity, pushing you to keep going even when challenges arise. The fascinating part is that your brain cannot distinguish between what you imagine with conviction and what you experience. When you truly believe in your new identity and speak to yourself from that place, your subconscious mind starts to adopt new habits, attitudes, and ways of thinking that match it. You begin to make decisions that support the person you are becoming rather than the person you once were. It's not about pretending or putting on a mask. It's about recognizing that who you are today is shaped by past experiences, but who you are becoming is shaped by your current choices and beliefs. This requires courage because you must let go of old labels and limitations that have held you back. You have to give yourself permission to grow beyond the identity that feels safe but no longer serves you. Think about the way a seed transforms into a tree. The seed does not rush to become the fully grown tree overnight. It first breaks through the soil, then gradually grows toward the sun, developing roots and branches along the way. Similarly, your identity unfolds through small but consistent shifts in how you speak to yourself and how you act. When you talk as if you already embody the qualities you desire, confidence, resilience, discipline, success, you nurture those traits and allow them to take root and grow. There is a powerful truth in the idea that what you say to yourself shapes your destiny. Your self-talk is a form of self-commitment. When you say, I am a person who finishes what I start, you create an internal contract to honor that promise. Your mind naturally works to fulfill that commitment because it craves consistency between your beliefs and actions. The more you reinforce the identity you want through your words, the stronger that internal contract becomes. This is why the way you speak to yourself matters more than any external circumstances. You could have all the resources in the world, but if your inner voice doubts your worth or your ability, you will struggle to use those resources effectively. On the other hand, even with limited means, a person who speaks to themselves as capable, resourceful, and determined will find ways to succeed because their identity pushes them forward. Identity transformation is also about being patient and kind to yourself as you evolve. Change does not happen overnight. You might stumble, revert to old patterns, or feel uncertain. But each time you choose to speak to yourself with the voice of who you are becoming, you reinforce a new neural pathway in your brain. Over time, these pathways strengthen, making your new identity more natural and automatic. Consider how this shift impacts your daily decisions. When you see yourself as a healthy person, you are more likely to choose nourishing foods and exercise regularly. When you speak to yourself as a confident communicator, you find yourself speaking up in meetings or social situations where before you might have stayed silent. When you claim the identity of someone who is financially savvy, you start managing your money with discipline and foresight. Your words carry the blueprint for your future. When you tell yourself stories that limit your potential, you keep your future small. But when you speak with intention and belief about the person you are becoming, you open doors that once seemed closed. You invite new opportunities, relationships, and achievements into your life simply because your inner world has changed. This process of identity transformation can be accelerated by visualizing your future self, seeing yourself acting, feeling, and living as that person. But it always starts with language, the words you use every day to describe yourself and your possibilities. By choosing to talk to yourself as the person you aspire to be, you ignite a powerful force within, a force that shapes your mindset, your motivation, and ultimately your destiny. You are not bound by your past. You are not limited by your current habits. You have the power to rewrite your story by speaking to yourself as the person you are becoming. This is where true change begins, in the words you say, in the identity you claim, and in the belief you cultivate. It is the gateway to a life of purpose, growth, and fulfillment, and once you begin, you will never see yourself the same way again. Everyone has an inner voice, but not everyone understands the power it holds. This voice can be your greatest ally or your fiercest enemy. For many, the inner voice is a relentless critic, quick to highlight flaws, magnify mistakes, and whisper doubts in moments of uncertainty. It tells you you're not enough, warns you against taking risks, and reminds you of every past failure. This critic may have started as a way to protect you from harm, but over time it becomes a cage that limits your potential. The key to unlocking your growth lies not in silencing this voice, but in transforming it, turning the inner critic into a wise coach. First, it's important to recognize the role your inner critic plays. On the surface, it feels like a negative force because it points out what's wrong or what could go wrong. Yet beneath this harshness, the critic often tries to keep you safe. It is a misguided guardian, attempting to protect you from disappointment, failure, or rejection. The problem is, when the critic dominates your thoughts, it stops serving your growth and starts stifling it. It becomes an obstacle rather than a guide. The transformation begins with awareness. You must become a keen observer of your inner dialogue. When a negative thought arises, pause and listen closely. What exactly is the voice saying? Is it harshly judgmental, or is it trying to warn you? Once you identify the message, you can begin to respond differently. Instead of accepting the thought as absolute truth, you question it. Is this thought really valid? Is there another way to see this situation? This moment of reflection is the first step to neutralizing negativity. Next comes the art of reframing. Reframing means changing the way you interpret the thought so it serves you better. For example, if your inner critic says you're not good enough to succeed, reframe it to, I am learning and growing every day. Success is a process, and I am on my way. Instead of feeding fear, you choose to nurture hope. Instead of accepting limitation, you open yourself to possibility. Reframing does not ignore challenges, but puts them in perspective, empowering you to take action rather than retreat. One powerful way to turn the critic into a coach is by practicing self-compassion. Imagine how you would speak to a close friend who is struggling. You would probably be kind, encouraging, and patient. You wouldn't berate or belittle them. Your inner voice deserves the same treatment. When negative thoughts arise, respond to them with kindness. Acknowledge your imperfections without judgment and remind yourself that growth takes time. Self-compassion softens the harshness of the critic and invites a more supportive inner dialogue. The coach inside your mind speaks differently. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, it asks constructive questions. What can I learn from this? How can I improve? What steps can I take next? It encourages persistence and celebrates progress, no matter how small. It helps you see setbacks as temporary and feedback as valuable. This coaching voice motivates you to keep going, even when the path is difficult, by focusing on solutions instead of problems. It's also essential to build evidence against the critic's negative claims. When the voice says, you always fail, remind yourself of the times you succeeded. When it says you're not capable, recall moments when you proved your strength. Writing down achievements, positive feedback, or moments of courage helps create a mental archive you can access whenever doubt creeps in. This evidence weakens the power of negative thoughts and strengthens your belief in yourself. Another technique involves visualization. Picture your inner critic as a character, a strict, worried coach who wants you to succeed but doesn't know how to help. Now imagine rewriting the script for this coach turning them into a supportive mentor who believes in your potential. Visualize conversations where this mentor guides you gently, offering advice instead of criticism. This mental exercise helps rewire your brain, making it easier to adopt a positive inner voice over time. Remember, changing your inner dialogue is a practice, not a one-time event. Negative thoughts are habits formed over years and will not disappear overnight. But with consistent effort, you can weaken their grip and strengthen the voice of encouragement within you. Each time you catch yourself in negative self-talk and choose to respond differently, you are training your mind to work for you rather than against you. The impact of transforming your inner critic goes beyond just feeling better. It changes how you approach challenges, risks, and opportunities. When your inner voice supports you, you are more willing to step outside your comfort zone. You recover faster from setbacks because you view them as part of the learning process, not confirmation of your limitations. You develop resilience because you have a coach inside your mind cheering you on, reminding you of your strengths and your goals. Think about how successful people handle their inner critics. They don't ignore self-doubt or pretend it doesn't exist. Instead, they listen carefully and respond with clarity and kindness. They turn that voice into a source of motivation rather than fear. This skill is one of the greatest advantages anyone can develop. It's the difference between being trapped by your doubts and using them as fuel for growth. In practical terms, you can start this transformation right now by paying attention to your thoughts and practicing simple mental shifts. When a negative thought surfaces, acknowledge it without resistance. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this true? What would my coach say instead? Replace the negativity with a positive or neutral statement that guides you forward. Over time, these small moments build into a powerful new habit. Your mind is like a garden. Negative thoughts are weeds that grow quickly if left unattended. But with care, patience, and intentionality, you can pull those weeds and plant seeds of encouragement, belief, and possibility. The inner critic can become the inner coach, a voice that not only challenges you but uplifts you, pushes you, and reminds you that your potential is far greater than your fears. Turning your inner critic into a coach is one of the most valuable transformations you can make. It requires commitment and practice, but the results are profound. When your inner voice supports your growth, nothing can stop you from reaching higher, moving faster, and becoming the person you were always meant to be. Your mind becomes your greatest ally, your most trusted guide, and the source of unstoppable momentum. Faith and emotion are the secret forces that give life to your words. Without them, your declarations remain empty echoes, lacking the power to move your mind or your circumstances. When you speak to yourself with genuine faith and charged emotion, you ignite a transformation that goes far beyond simple repetition. Your words become a beacon, a magnet, drawing you toward the reality you envision. This is why belief matters so deeply in the process of self-talk and mental programming. Faith is not about blind optimism or wishful thinking. It is a deeply rooted certainty, a conviction that what you desire is possible, even if you cannot yet see the path clearly. Faith is the anchor that holds you steady when doubt tries to creep in. It is the quiet confidence that fuels persistence when obstacles arise. When your words are spoken with faith, they send a message to your subconscious that this is not just a fleeting hope, but a settled truth. Your mind begins to act accordingly, shaping your thoughts, feelings, and actions to match that conviction. Emotion is the energy behind faith. It's the feeling that brings your words to life and charges them with magnetic force. Think about the difference between reciting a phrase mechanically versus speaking it with passion and intensity. When you say, "I am confident," without feeling it, the words are weak and meaningless. But when you say, "I am confident," and truly feel the power of confidence stirring inside you, those words become commands that influence your entire being. Emotion creates a vibration within you that your brain and body respond to, helping to align your energy with your goal. The connection between faith and emotion is vital because your mind is wired to respond not just to logic, but to feeling. Logic alone does not move the heart or inspire action. Your brain filters countless thoughts every day, but it pays special attention to those charged with strong emotion. That's why moments of fear, excitement, love, or determination stick in your memory and influence your behavior far more than dry facts. When you combine faith with heartfelt emotion in your self-talk, you tap into a powerful driver of change.
One of the most profound ways to harness faith and emotion in your words is through visualization. When you speak your goals aloud, close your eyes and imagine yourself living the reality you desire. See it, feel it, hear it. Allow the emotions of success, joy, and fulfillment to wash over you. This sensory experience floods your mind with positive feelings that support belief. It creates a neural imprint that guides your subconscious toward those outcomes. Visualization makes your faith tangible, turning abstract hopes into vivid experiences your mind can grasp.
Another key element is repetition, combined with feeling. Saying an affirmation once or twice is not enough. The power lies in repeating your declarations consistently and with increasing emotion. Each repetition is a step deeper into your belief system. It's like planting a seed and watering it daily. Over time, your subconscious begins to accept these words as fact. The more charged your words are with faith and emotion, the faster your mind embraces them. This is how you transform your inner narrative from doubt to certainty. Faith also demands surrender and patience. You must believe in the outcome without demanding immediate proof. This balance is delicate but essential. If you try to force results or become frustrated when change does not come instantly, your faith weakens. Instead, trust that your words are working beneath the surface, slowly reshaping your beliefs and opening new possibilities. Maintain your declarations with heartfelt emotion, knowing that the unseen forces of your subconscious and the universe are aligning in your favor. When you charge your words with faith and emotion, you begin to notice subtle but significant shifts. Your mindset changes. You start to expect success rather than fear failure. Your confidence grows. Your energy lifts. Opportunities seem to appear more easily because your perception of the world shifts. You become more alert to possibilities and more willing to take bold actions. This internal shift is the true power of belief. It reshapes not just what you think, but how you act. The language you choose also influences how much faith and emotion you can put into your words. Use present tense and positive phrasing. Say, I am strong, rather than I will be strong someday. Speak with certainty as if what you declare is already happening. This approach convinces your subconscious that the future you desire is your current reality. Avoid negative words or uncertainty that can dilute your message. Your inner dialogue must be clear, confident, and filled with passion. There is a spiritual dimension to faith and emotion as well. Many of the world's greatest teachers, thinkers, and leaders have emphasized the importance of belief in creating reality. Faith connects you to a deeper source of power within and beyond yourself. When your words carry that spiritual energy, whether you call it universal law, divine will, or inner wisdom, they hold an unstoppable force. This force can overcome resistance, break through barriers, and lead you to extraordinary achievement. Faith is also an act of courage. It means choosing to believe when the evidence is scarce, when the odds feel stacked against you. It requires stepping into the unknown and trusting that your words will shape the path ahead. This courage fuels persistence and resilience. It helps you rise each time you fall, speak boldly when fear tries to silence you, and hold your vision steady when distractions threaten to pull you away.
Emotion adds authenticity to your faith. It's easy to say words without feeling them, but it's much harder to live them with genuine emotion. When your words are charged with true feeling, whether it's hope, gratitude, determination, or joy, you create a powerful connection between your mind and heart. This connection unlocks a deeper motivation that goes beyond surface-level goals. It becomes a force that drives your daily choices and keeps you aligned with your highest purpose.
The combination of faith and emotion in your self-talk is like lighting a fire inside. Without fuel, a spark quickly dies out. But with passion and belief, the flame grows stronger and brighter. This fire warms your spirit, lights your way, and propels you forward when the road is tough. It empowers you to speak words that not only affirm your potential, but command it.
In the end, charging your words with faith and emotion transforms them from mere statements into declarations of power. These declarations influence your subconscious, change your mindset, and ultimately shape your destiny. They become a daily practice that rewires your brain, rewrites your story, and reclaims your future. When you speak to yourself with unwavering faith and heartfelt emotion, you become the architect of your own reality. Imagine if just 3 days could set into motion a completely new chapter in your life, not through a miracle, not through some overnight success, but through a conscious decision to take control of your thoughts, your words, and ultimately your direction. This is not a gimmick. It is a challenge, a mental reset. For 3 days, you deliberately choose to become hyper-aware of the way you speak to yourself, and you replace every ounce of negativity, doubt, and limitation with intentional, empowering language. What seems like a small shift on the surface creates a powerful internal transformation that alters the trajectory of your life.
Most people are unaware of the constant stream of mental chatter running through their minds. It's like background music that plays on repeat, influencing their mood, energy, decisions, and beliefs without them even realizing it. That voice, often filled with criticism, fear, or hesitation, becomes a kind of script that keeps repeating itself. You think it's just how you are, but in truth, it's just how you've been conditioned to think. The 3-day challenge is about breaking that cycle, not forever in one go, but enough to spark awareness, enough to prove to yourself that you are not a prisoner of that inner dialogue. For 3 days, the challenge is simple: monitor your thoughts and language like a hawk. Every time a disempowering, self-defeating, or fearful thought arises, you pause and replace it with a new message, one that aligns with the person you are becoming. This takes effort. It takes presence, but it does not take a lifetime to begin. Just 3 days. 3 days of intense, focused commitment to speak to yourself only with belief, hope, encouragement, and clarity. You treat your mind like fertile soil and decide that for these 3 days, only nourishing seeds will be planted. You wake up in the morning and start with intention. Instead of dragging yourself out of bed with thoughts like, another stressful day, you say, today I move with purpose. Today I get stronger. Today I get closer to my goals. These aren't empty affirmations. They are declarations. You say them not because you feel them yet, but because you are programming yourself to feel them. Throughout the day, you catch your inner dialogue in real time. A challenge comes up, and instead of defaulting to I can't, you say, I'm learning. I will figure this out. I've overcome before, and I'll do it again. You don't wait for your emotions to catch up. You lead with language. You become the narrator of your life, not a passive listener. You talk to yourself the way a coach would talk to a player before a championship game, firm, focused, full of fire. And slowly, over these 3 days, your mind begins to listen. It starts to obey. It begins to reflect this new level of command.
You'll begin to notice your energy shift. People will respond to you differently. Your decisions become bolder, not because the world changed, but because your internal state did. What you previously saw as problems now look like challenges. What once seemed like setbacks now feel like setups for growth. You realize that for so long it wasn't your circumstances holding you back. It was your own agreement with limitation. The 3-day challenge is about breaking that agreement and forming a new one with your potential.
Yes, old thoughts will try to creep back in. That voice of doubt doesn't vanish in a moment, but you'll be ready. The moment a limiting belief surfaces, you call it out. You replace it with a stronger truth. When the thought says, "You're not good enough," you answer, "I am more than enough, and I'm proving it daily." When it says, "You never follow through," you say, "That was my past. I'm a finisher now. I'm building a new track record." This conscious interruption of negative thought loops is the core of the challenge, not letting a single toxic idea go unchecked. That is the discipline that rewires your mind. At first, this practice may feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. Your mind may resist, like a muscle being stretched in a new direction. That's normal. It means the work is real. You're confronting years, sometimes decades of conditioning. But you'll also feel something else, freedom, a sense of clarity, a new level of power rising from within. You'll start to feel the difference between reacting from old programming and responding from new intention. Each night during the challenge, you reflect on your wins. You journal the moments when you caught a negative thought and turned it around. You write down the empowering statements you spoke. You record how it felt. This solidifies the change. It tells your brain, this is the new standard. Over time, that standard becomes your norm. You might think, what can really change in 3 days? The answer is, everything can begin to change. The direction of your thinking determines the direction of your life. 3 days of intentional, empowered thought is like turning the wheel of a ship. Even a few degrees of difference changes your entire destination. These 3 days are not the finish line. They are the spark. They are the awakening of a deeper awareness and a stronger self-command. You don't need anyone's permission to begin. You don't need external motivation or a perfect environment. You need only the decision to take control of your thoughts and language moment by moment for just 3 days. This is the mental reboot, the system reset. The moment you take the power back, once you see what's possible, you'll never want to go back. You'll realize that the real battlefield is in your own mind, and victory belongs to those who decide to speak with power, live with belief, and act with intention.